if you find yourself passionate about a product and a manufacturer, I mean, it's kind of like cheating, honestly. Eventually that manufacturer is going to notice you because they can't afford not to.
From Toronto, PHANTA Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast. Hello. How you doing? This is Mark Drager, the host of the Not So Corporate Podcast. I'm joined here in studio with Louis Vizenios.
It's a me, Louis.
Wow, that's cool. That was unexpected and new. So, listen, this is a big day. This is our first podcast.
Huge.
This is you're on fire, man. This is our first podcast without Leah. This is the first time that that Leah, we can announce to the podcast world, if you haven't seen it on Facebook, that about 2 weeks ago, what is it today? Today's May 26th, episode 42. So about 2 weeks ago, she had her little boy.
Yep.
Cullum, I think it is. We've seen it written. We haven't talked to her yet, but as far as we know, baby and mother is healthy and well. And other than that, for the next year, you won't have to hear anything else about babies. That's it.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about babies for the next year, I promise.
Okay. So let's put that to bed now. So it's just me and Louis here in the studio because it's late. It's after hours. Kyle is in the conversation that we have with Mr. Premier Bro. We have Premier Bro,
the one, the only,
also known as Sean Schools. Kyle had to run out because it's late. It's after hours. And he's getting his MBA, and he had to go off and do MBA-related things.
Hustling, man.
Hustling, MBA style. So let's just talk real quick about our special guest, Premier Bro. He is someone who I came across a few years ago, probably about a year and a half or 2 years ago when he started his stuff. He is a fantastic guy. The guy's name is Sean Schools. He's also known as Premier Bro Online. And basically, he started a fan site for the Premiere community, for the editing community, people who love Adobe and love Premiere specifically. In his day job, he works at an advertising agency in central New Jersey. He edits corporate and B2B advertising videos for that agency. He's a Premiere Pro user. He is a blogger, and he runs the fan site known as Premiere Pro. We have a great conversation with him about, everything. Like, we talk about life.
Not even extolling the virtues of Premiere. We talk about Apple. Yeah.
We talk about the old Final Cut days.
Falling down.
We talk about falling down a flight of stairs and the difference between what red and blue means for political stripes in the U.S. versus Canada.
Yeah, we're all over the map on this one.
Literally. Yeah. So let's jump into the conversation right now. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm joined with Mr. Premier Bro, also known as Sean Schools. Or is it the other way around? Is it Sean Schools known as Premier Bro? Which one is it, man?
That's the beauty of it, I suppose. I don't really know which one comes first anymore.
Listen, I'm so happy that I could have you on here because when we first started getting into this podcasting and doing stuff online and on Twitter and stuff, you were a huge fan or proponent of some of the things we did, I think with Adobe in the past and other things. And you specifically, really motivated us to keep going and doing stuff. So I wanted to thank you for that because, when you start out any activity, as I'm sure being a blogger, being someone who's covering something, when you're doing it for a passion play, it's almost like the ones and twos of people who respond positively that keeps you through it. So thank you, man. Thanks for doing that, and thanks for coming on.
No problem. I mean, the privilege is mine, and it's so rewarding to hear that.
You know what? The privilege is yours. You're right.
Uh-oh.
No. I'm just bugging you. So I mentioned something to you early on, probably, was it 6 months ago or a year ago now? When I first came across Premier Bro, I thought that you were some 17-year-old kid in Ukraine. And it was because you had these funky colors. You were posting stuff at the strangest hours. I thought you had to be in Europe because you were posting stuff at 5 a.m. And you had this weird robotic voice doing. I mean, it was cool, but this weird robotic voice doing all your stuff. I thought this guy has to be in Europe. And I find out you're in New Jersey, and you're this just this plain American guy. So what's up
with a day job in corporate video? No less.
Yeah. So what's up with how far either I was off from who you really were, or what led me to believe that about you, man?
Well, as you mentioned, me and you, we kind of had some early connections, kind of when we were both starting to be active online and on social media. So you have this unique perspective of seeing kind of the distance that I've come and, my growth and my journey. And it was pretty quirky back then. A lot of purple and pink on my old site, the Premiere Pro colors. It's fun to talk to someone that actually remembers that time. Most people are only familiar with, like my current website, my current blog.
Well, and you shot us a video on Twitter once and went like, hey, what do you think of this? And we gave you some feedback. And so that was a lot of fun. Now, I have to ask, just in the back of my mind, I've always wondered, what is Premiere Pro? What is Adobe? What do the brand managers over Adobe think of what you're doing?
I mean, obviously, it's free advertising for them. So, they're very appreciative of it. But, that's been a huge reward of doing this, is getting to know the managers, the team members, the developers on a personal level. Yeah, I'm not like texting them every day. I don't want people to have that impression. It's not like that. But to be able to meet some of these people at conferences and, in the forums and obviously on Twitter, it's really cool to see that side of the product, if you know what I mean, to know where the product is coming from. And I guess just to finish this thought, one of the things that always strikes me when I'm talking to an Adobe, specifically Premiere Pro team member, is that's their product first, and they spend time with that product. They love that product, and I know they've got to be extremely proud of it. And so for me, it really comes across that they're very proud to share that, and they're very receptive to what other people think of it, and particularly how to make it better, obviously.
And how do you walk the line between loving the product and being an influencer in our space and not, being in their pocket, so to speak? Even, I don't mean financially or anything like that. I just mean, being such a fan that you lose your street cred.
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, my subjectivity versus objectivity here. It's definitely at stake as soon as I've labeled myself the user blog and fan site. Yeah, I've gotten feedback from a couple people that I respect in this space, and they told me, just go with the fan thing. There's no one that I know of. There's no one that has that kind of sold out Adobe Premiere Pro voice. So I kind of threw out the street cred to begin with and reinvented, my own street cred is, you either buy into Premiere Pro as, like a great NLE, or you don't. And if you do, then, you and I will probably be good friends.
Do you ever run into people that just hate Premiere and they want to get into it with you on Twitter, diehard Avid fans or Final Cut fans?
Hold on, there are diehard Avid fans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like what, for Media Composer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't, not off the top of my head. I've gotten snarky remarks, but not so much from a Final Cut Pro 10 user or an Avid user. No one's really come after me that hard.
Okay, that's good.
So they're not showing up at your house with cutouts of Premiere Pro box CDs or something, and being shipping you body parts,
or anthrax in an envelope or something.
I don't think that aggressively, okay. But you know where I'm going with this, right?
Like a hard drive that's been smashed inside of a box,
and it's this will be you next, yes. Premiere Pro, or I guess Bro.
Yeah. I guess to anyone listening, consider this an open invitation.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, right? I feel like the Premiere Pros versus the Final Cuts are kind of like the Sharks versus the Jets. Right, they're going to dance it off. Are
we talking
West Side Story?
Okay,
yeah, West Side Story style.
I was wondering if it was a hockey
I'm glad
thing,
you clarified. Was he talking hockey?
Yeah, that's what I thought too, man.
No. They're going to go West Side Story style. Lots of camera movement, lots of flair.
Right.
You just know when those two groups get together, there's flair in abundance.
Yeah.
We won't tell anyone where you live, but I almost found out where you lived once by both stalking you and inviting you out for dinner one time in New Jersey. And
yeah, it's too bad that never really panned out.
Yeah, you very hesitantly like revealed kind of the area you lived in, but yeah, I wasn't able to make it. And Oscar, who was down in New Jersey for something, was too busy. But I was trying to connect to you guys. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. You know, so you went to Full Sail, which, by the way, my first introduction to Full Sail University was the promo that they did with Final Cut Studio. Like back when Final Cut Studio was first released, they did these short kind of promo videos, and I was like, one, I loved the video, but two, I was like, wow, it looks like a great university. So you went to Full Sail. I won't ask you what you thought about it, but you were the class valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA.
Oh, yeah.
So obviously you really loved.
Did I say that to you? Or
Someone put it in your bio.
It's in your bio.
It's in your bio. You gave it to us, as well as the Advanced Achiever Award. But so you went to what I consider a good school from the outside. You know, maybe internally you didn't like it, but you went to this great school. You did really well in it. Now, you know, you're working at what looks like a really cool agency. You're in the industry doing stuff that looks fantastic. What strikes you up to say, like, hey, I can't wait to spend, 40% of my free time not with my wife and kids, but instead running a fan blog?
Ooh, this is like an existential question almost for me. I mean, I suppose at the core of it, I get a kick out of, seeing other people learn Premiere. And I suppose if you dig a little deeper into that, I enjoy seeing other people learn. So, I do it for that. There is some genuine giving back to the Premiere Pro user community. I mean, it's just like anything online, with social media. The more you give, the more it kind of builds up your own credibility. So, the thought of being a Premiere Pro thought leader is undeniably attractive, I suppose. That doesn't really explain why I get up at 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
That's why I'm saying this guy had to be in Ukraine. Like he's up at 5 a.m. blasting out like tweets, like, and posting stuff. And I mean, you just do a lot. And I think it's amazing that you're so dedicated not only to your craft, but just that you want to be able to run with this community. Like, have you found since you've launched, have you hit, I talked about it a few weeks ago and other people have talked about the dip. Have you, did you ever hit the dip where you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I spending all this time in this? Like, this was before I saw you were traveling to conferences and stuff, but did you hit that dip, and how did you power through with this kind of passion project?
I'd say I've experienced, like week to week dips,
hour to hour, day to day.
Well, you're a video editor, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Getting kind of connected more closely with Adobe and some other great partners and sponsors like Future Media Concepts. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're a great training company in Avid, Final Cut, Premiere, and so many other things. So like they're the company that produces things like Adobe Video World, which may surprise you. It's actually not Adobe producing that. It's Future Media Concepts. So partnerships like that and getting sponsors like that has helped save me from kind of bottoming out and not seeing any fruit. There has been. Are you on the Media Pass side now? Like, are you at the point where you sign up, you get credentials, you get the Media Pass, you get to walk in and do all the Media Pass fun stuff?
Going to NAB for like next to nothing.
Well, it's just you get access to like the place to sit down to charge your cell phone, and get free
the
internet,
media lounge,
and the food. Like, are you on the media side now?
Yeah, the free coffee.
Are you there? Did you make it?
Maybe halfway. I don't know. It's one of those things where I go not really knowing what to expect. And
dude, you got
the most of it.
Oh man, you got to sign up. You got to contact them in advance. You got to get your media credentials. When we used to do the race series, we always would get media passes, and they take care of you. And you get to go places other people don't, right? Like, at least when you do racing, you get to go to the fence. But at like conferences and stuff, it's usually they treat you a little nicer.
Yeah. Well, he does go to like retreats, and he's part of the community, right? So yeah.
Yeah, but it just depends if you're going out like, hey, this is me, Premiere Bro, or you're like, I'm Premiere
Where's
Bro.
my Media Pass?
Give me a Media Pass, because then you get free access.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like some people are probably still in that. This guy is probably in Ukraine and 17 years old. Like,
Sorry, but we're trying to fight that just by having you here right now. I mean, your accent is impeccable. It's fantastic.
By the way, Mark thinks that all video editors are manufactured in Eastern Europe. So
that is not true. I believe a lot of them come from Brazil as well.
Right.
Kyle, what are you up to there?
I'm just saying, I was reading the full bio, and I'm like, it's just sort of like, yeah, now full-time at JK Design.
Yeah.
And then, like, last few lines, like, have 2 boys and 3 cats. I'm like, what? What have I been, like...
What have you been doing? You've been editing.
Yeah.
You do not have 2 boys and 3 cats
No.
yet? So
I don't have a life, apparently.
You feel far behind because...
I do feel far behind.
He's beat you on the cat front.
Yes.
How many cats do you have, Kyle?
1.
that's true.
Oh, there you go.
Not enough cats.
Kyle, you're getting your
Clearly.
MBA, though.
Yeah, my entire life's going on pause.
Yeah, because of your MBA.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say MBA is probably fine just as long as it doesn't mess up that intro you have for your Let's Learn Premiere Pro tutorials, because that's the best tutorial intro I've ever seen.
Did you see the one with the cat? The one where he just randomly worked in a cat for no reason?
Well, when you don't have like a lot of sleep, you just start doing weird things.
Oh man, we have a new series coming out that is not Premiere related, but a lot of fun, and it's going to be even. Is it going to, Louis? Is it going to be even more? Is it going to be even more strange?
It's going to be the most surrealist thing we've
Sean,
ever done.
let me get your opinion on this, okay?
Yeah.
Or do you prefer? Sorry, I forgot to ask off the top. Do you prefer Sean or Premiere?
It could be Sean.
Okay.
Mr. Bro?
Mr. Bro.
Mr. Bro.
Dr. Bro.
Dr.
Like
Bro. Kyle wants to start pacing now with the mic.
Yeah. Get those presentation skills.
You're not
going.
Gary Vee, so you don't need to pace. But
Now is the time.
Let me run you by this, Sean. So we decided to start a game show contest here in our office called the Pre-Roll Challenge, where one team member pulls a pre-roll marketing video off YouTube, and we watch the first 5 seconds of it and have to decide what the product is, what's about to happen in the next 5 seconds, the number of views, the number of likes, the number of dislikes. Because you'd be surprised in the first 5 seconds of a skippable YouTube ad how little you actually see.
Yeah.
What do you think of that concept, bud?
Very interesting. Yeah.
He doesn't sound excited about it.
No. That's just my voice. I apologize.
Your
natural.
Your natural.
Cool. I'm thinking about even just the skippable YouTube ads I've seen today and can't remember anything.
Yeah.
So what do you do day to day? Walk me through what you do day to day at JK Design. So it's an agency in New Jersey. But what do you do there, and how does that either balance in or play? Like, how do you balance your passion between your work and your work? Because that's interesting to me that you can dedicate so much time to this while doing your job as well.
Obviously, Premiere Bro wouldn't really work if JK Design wasn't supportive, particularly sending me to conferences and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I have a very supportive boss. JK stands for Jerry Colliers. I mean, he's been very supportive of my going to those events. My supervisor / producer, Catherine Armstrong, again, very supportive. As far as the time, I wake up early to kind of invest in the passion project. And then from 8:30 to like 5 p.m. is JK Design time, and I'm editing corporate videos. As a company, we are trying to move into a more consumer, get more consumer work. But primarily, at least as far as my work as the video editor, it's a lot of corporate video still. Mm-hmm.
So, like, do they see value apart from supporting you? Like, aside from supporting you, do they see like a value proposition to having you do this for the company itself, or do you think it's just that you're part of a very supportive group of people that allow you to do this, and there's really no alternate gain for them?
That's a great question, and it comes at it's a very timely question, actually. I would say it's right now, currently, it's the latter. I'm just surrounded by a lot of great people who are very supportive of what I do, and it's not just me; it's everyone. What people are doing on the side. But as a company, we are looking to expand our digital strategy, our social media strategy.
Right. So
I hope, and I would anticipate that there would be opportunities to overlap a little more, maybe. With Premiere Bro, I guess the challenge is trying to keep it as pure as possible and sponsored too heavily.
Is that something you struggle with, like on a day-to-day basis? Is bias something you think about constantly, or like how do you deal with that?
Not actually. I don't think about it that much. Obviously, Adobe has made certain things happen for me, and that kind of goes back to the like, if you're on my site, hopefully you're not getting the impression that this is an objective place
Right.
when it comes to editing. So as far as like my relationship with Adobe, and well, of course he's saying good things about Adobe, like, you know, they talk to him at events and all this stuff. You know, that's kind of the idea. That's why I'm doing it.
So how do you feel about being known as the mommy blogger of the editing world?
I mean, I love that. You hit the nail right out of the park.
Boom.
So have you considered ever taking a pat leave? I don't know if you have those down in New Jersey, but can you take a pat leave, raise your kids, and just mommy blog about a premiere? Send the wife off to work?
Yeah, nah.
No?
But this would be like a great time to say, you know, my wife, Laura, without her being supportive of this, there'd be no way I would be able to do this. You know, Adobe could stuff my pockets full of money. Other companies could, you know, send me here and there. But, you know, it's just really because I have a supportive wife that I'm able to do any of this in the first place. So.
Well, and that's huge. I you know, and I think that's the same for anyone who has a partner who is supporting them. It's so important that you can get a little bit of time. I remember when we were, I guess, tweeting back and forth a little while ago, you were saying that you were working through the balance between not putting in too many hours or having to negotiate to make sure it's not too much of a distraction. But it seems like a healthy distraction. I mean, it's better than like hookers and blow, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, let's
go with that.
That's a running thing we got here at the company. It's
Oh, yeah?
a running commentary, hookers and blow.
Runs on that Visa card.
Yeah, not really. But as you're setting this up, your vision of what you want to do, you seem like a pretty chill guy. Do you have your targets and your hopes, or are you just really just taking it one step at a time? And, you know, are you taking this really seriously, or is this just something you're doing for fun?
When I first started, it definitely started as fun. In fact, I don't know if you guys know, but Premiere Bro originated as a joke, you know, with my coworkers. When I took this job, I was previously working in Final Cut Pro 7, and
Right, listen, man, hats off to you. I have to say,
What do you mean?
Final Cut Pro 7, which is Final Cut Studio 2.
7.703 is the best nonlinear editing software that ever existed.
Ever. I have to say that I came up through Final Cut like most people my age, right? I'm 33. Listen, you did not even consider. I said this to Adobe too when they were here. I was like, you did not consider Adobe 6 or something?
Yeah,
What was
Premiere 6.
It was, yeah.
Oh gosh,
CS6.
it was a joke, right? So you
no,
had to go-
not CS6.
No.
6.
number 6. So
Oh,
you
okay.
had to be Final Cut Studio 2.
Oh, you're
was
going back to 6.0 days.
when I was in
Oh,
film
yeah.
school.
Oh,
When I
okay.
was in
All
film
right,
school.
okay.
I'm maybe a little bit older than some people, but Final Cut 7 was just, it didn't crash really. You know, I think it kind of handled
It's pretty
HD.
solid,
It was
man.
pretty good.
It's pretty solid.
Anyway, sorry. So sorry we're geeking out on the good old sentimental days of Final Cut before Apple decided to screw over our entire community and ruin all of our lives. Anyway, before that,
Yeah.
you were there, were you?
you know, when I applied for this position, just like, you know, any editor would do to get a job, you say, of course I know CS6. You know, of course I know Premiere Pro. But so I came to work, and it was like a week that I spent in Premiere Pro CS6, and I was like, well, this is oddly familiar. It's easy. And it was just like the transition was almost non-existent.
Sure.
And I guess as time went on, I just kind of started vocalizing my love for Premiere Pro. And
Because it felt like coming home.
yeah, exactly.
It felt enough like Final Cut, but advanced enough not to be, right?
Yeah.
It felt a lot like Final Cut because it had that keyboard shortcut. Hey, why don't you just make this Final Cut?
Right.
Right? So it's like, okay, good. And you got the warp stabilizer? All right, I'm on board.
It's a struggle for me because I haven't edited in our company since we were on Final Cut. Right? Like even when we started this podcast a year ago, the guys would make fun of me. I cut this podcast on Final Cut 7. because I still had a license, and I would cut the audio in Final Cut because I just knew it.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
figure
so
out
funny.
Premiere.
It's
man.
what you know, though,
I
right?
can't figure it out. It's
Yeah.
just like I go to hit the shortcuts, and they're just not there.
Yeah.
Right? The up and down arrow keys used to just take you from clip to clip to
Well,
clip on
you
the
gotta-
timeline.
No,
you
no,
gotta
no. You
set
could do
that.
that. You could do anything you want in that program.
Oh, he's gonna have to distance. Premiere Bro's gonna have to distance himself from this podcast now.
Why?
'cause-
We
we're
love
showing-
Premiere.
We're showing a little bit of love for Apple, who decided to screw over our entire community.
Well, look, man, they've dropped the ball big time. So
No kidding. Were you around for that? Do you remember the whole debacle when Apple decided to move to Final Cut X and screw over our entire community?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I was
Should I say allegedly? Does that help with the
I think you
legal
should.
stuff?
Allegedly.
some people love that program, though. So yeah, I think you
Should I
should.
say allegedly,
Yeah.
just to help with legal things?
Right.
Allegedly.
I remember I was in editing class at Full Sail, and the instructor, I don't know what his relationship was with Apple,
came
but
in
he said, like, heads up, something big is coming. It's going to look really different. It's cool. It's going to look really different.
Sounds so ominous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And,
know-
I mean, this was like at least a year before Final Cut X dropped. So,
Yeah.
So he had like inside
He had
information.
the inside scoop.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
You know what happened with us? We were hiring. I think we were hiring a new editor or something, and I went to I called our Apple business contact like the day after Final Cut X was announced, and I said, "Hey, we need another license for Final Cut Studio 2 because
Yeah.
we were hiring a new person." They said, "Oh, we don't sell that anymore." I was like, "What? You don't sell Final Cut Studio 2 anymore, even though." Half of our company is on Final Cut,
Yeah.
right? We had like 4 workstations
Yeah.
on Final Cut. I just need a 5th workstation. You expect me to somehow have one?
They literally burned every disc the day that
They said no. They said there was still one within the whole GTA that they could pull out of the garbage, basically. Yeah, to sell it to me. And I was like, what do we do as a company? Like, what do companies like ours? Like your
Sorry.
company today, what would your company do if they had to move over an entire ecosystem to a different product? It's crazy. Anyway, that's all old news, but
For JK Design, it was a little less severe from what I understand. This happened shortly before I got here. They had After Effects artists and Photoshop designers. So most of the company was already kind of in the creative suite, but the primary editor was still using Final Cut. So they felt that frustration.
yeah. And we had like Dreamweaver licenses and Photoshop licenses. We had all those things too. So anyway, we're big fans of Adobe as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't have worked with them on a few small things. And and I
We wouldn't be talking.
yeah So if we hated Premiere, you wouldn't talk to us then.
The
That
gauntlet is
that
thrown.
runs deep, man. That runs deep.
I would still talk to you guys because to be honest, I love what you guys do and the voice that you are in the corporate video space and just how you kind of own that. Whereas a lot of people, I feel, have this kind of this vibe of corporate video. I feel bad for you.
Really? Oh man, I used to be there many years ago when I used to hire people and they came from television. I used to say, "Are you prepared for the hit your reputation is going to take moving from television to corporate?" And now I feel like the stuff that we do, that companies like yours and ours, I feel like it's so much better than television. Like unless if you're in narrative or film, just sports, sports,
a lot of it, yeah.
news,
Yeah.
regular programming, local programming. I feel like what we do can hold up with all of that.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's so cool. I mean, it's so refreshing to hear. And I mean, I know this is the case with any genre you're editing, that eventually, or just like any job, it gets old after a while. So, I mean, it's just so good to hear someone who's in a similar space so energized about their, what they're doing. It translates,
You sound energized just talking about it.
Do you have any thoughts on like working with Premiere as it's evolved, like stability wise?
Kyle's holding back his words because Kyle doesn't like software that crashes. Is that what it comes down to?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So hey, you can maybe be like the inside scoop when we had Eric on to talk. Eric Philpott from Adobe to talk about
diplomatic.
stuff. He was very diplomatic and nice.
Yes.
But maybe we can just hit Sean here with all of our questions.
Oh, man.
Like when you work with it day to day, you see where it starts to struggle. So I mean, I personally thought like CS what 6?
No,
CC.
So the first CC, so 7, I guess.
7 was pretty solid,
Was
and
that
then
like
2014 was rough.
It was a mess.
Yeah, and 2015's better.
What are we on now?
2015.
Hey man, what's your favorite version of Premiere Pro? Like if you had posters up on the wall of your bedroom, and you were like, oh man, I love that version. What would be the key version for you?
Surrounding my edit bay, there's pinups of every splash screen of Premiere Pro CC.
Really?
No.
Oh, I thought
That's a good idea. I mean, actually,
I thought you actually did that.
That's not bad, man.
And I
That
was
box
like,
has gotten bigger and bigger, though.
that's like, well, what the big one? Yeah, because
the
they have to
splash
fill
screen
in.
box is
they have
huge now.
They have to put the lady whatever. They always have for each software.
Well, they
different
have the whole
illustration.
Behance thing. Yeah.
Oh no, it's got the guy on a mountain. That's what I'm
No,
looking
it's like
at.
Superman Kid now.
yeah.
No, it's a guy on a mountain. I just
That's
loaded
the
it
older
up.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Old.
Oh gosh, I'm behind. I feel so out of
Awkward.
touch.
So what's your favorite version, or do you have a favorite?
Would be impressed if I said some like very specific CC 2014 1.2.7 or something.
That would be great. Because I could
You
be like,
wanna
oh,
get-
that was the one with the update.
Yeah, right.
I mean, obviously, I'm running the latest version, so the latest version is always my favorite because it has all the new toys. So
On the Mac or PC?
Mac,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. As an agency, we're a Mac-based agency.
Cool.
And so when you look at the software, do you appreciate it from an editing point of view? Like this is just a tool that lets me edit, or are you genuinely amazed with the with the architecture and the programming that goes into it? I think base model everything is the simplest, fastest, cheapest way to go. But I know that some of the guys here in the office they're amazed with what the algorithms and the architecture and the coding can do. Like your audio. What's that audio thing where you can look at it as an image and then
Yes.
like paint things
Heal
out?
tool?
Oh, the heel tool in
Right. See,
Yeah.
let's go back to me. I like just set a noise print, run it.
That works.
Keyframe a little bit of audio. You get yourself a stew going. But so do you look at it more from just this is a tool, or are you genuinely amazed with what these engineers are building?
Genuinely amazed. I think it's pretty incredible. I'm not a very like under the hood type of guy. The coding and all of that and how it's built. I wish I was, but my knowledge of Premiere Pro is only like UI deep. That's really as far as it goes. It's so cool to see the different ways they're integrating or choosing not to integrate certain applications. I mean, like the obvious one would be the Lumetri color panel and just how that's streamlining color correction for editors that, wouldn't feel confident in that space, or, maybe the levels of work doesn't require speed grade or any other other color.
Speed grade. Do you use speed grade for all your color, or do you use kind of like the vanilla Adobe experience, or do you get kind of heavy with plugins from other like third parties like Red Giant or anything like that?
I've ditched all color plugins, and that's for a couple reasons. Like I don't like the trouble of like handing projects off, and when the Lumetri color panel was still released prior to having that HSL secondaries. Have you guys seen those new features that are coming?
Yeah.
So before that, and I'm talking as if it's already here. It's not here yet. It's coming. I've still been using like the secondary color corrector in the three-way color corrector effect. So
the fast color, right? Basically, it's like the is that it used to be called that, I think.
Kyle just gave a face where he like as soon as you mentioned that tool, he within his gut, he fundamentally disagreed with you.
Okay, thanks.
He was just
Yeah,
like blah, three-way color.
Like, I mean, speed grade's great, but it's slow, and that tool.
But he's saying he doesn't
limited.
even use speed grade.
No,
he just,
man, he's
he
all-
just
He
colors
ditched everything with.
Yeah, but he might get
yeah.
footage. He might be shooting or using footage that's already in camera, nice and clean.
That's true. Yeah, he doesn't need cleaning.
Yeah, and this is just with color correction. When it comes to like more visual effects and really tearing apart the footage.
Right. Yeah.
Then I'll start using third-party plugins and all that. But as far as color, there's really not a need anymore to leave Premiere.
We were talking before about kind of the networking aspects of what you're involved in. I was just kind of curious because people have an impression of editors as being, somewhat asocial or hermetic. I want to know, like, because you do a lot of that. Is so like, is that a stigma? Is that something you had to work
He does
through?
it from the safety of his Twitter account.
He does, but he goes out, man.
Yeah.
He puts boots to the ground, and he's out there talking to people, interviewing people.
Yeah.
Like it's just a room with people against the wall, like looking down, or is someone really getting in there?
It's kind of going back. This is just like one day at a time, one step at a time, and just kind of following the path kind of as it leads. So
It's 12-step program.
I became an editor, because I felt more comfortable behind the camera. Even I felt even more comfortable in my editing chair, far away from the camera. To kind of be out there on social media, it's a little scary.
There are times before I approach a project, I get sometimes I feel sick. Right, like before I'm about to
Well, he's admitting this to he's
approach
admitting
something.
this to the
I'm
audience.
gonna vomit all over the keyboard.
His manager Kyle and the owner of the firm.
No, but there's an uneasiness sometimes when you approach a project, or even
a nervous energy.
Yeah, or even while you're editing, before you really know what the heck this thing's going to look like or be.
Totally.
Is that something that affects you as well?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and not to get like too metaphysical here, but if you think about what an editor does and like all the possibilities an editor sees at any given point, like scrubbing through the footage, it's
because you could take it like 1,000 different ways, right? So it's very intimidating sometimes.
Yeah. If you think about whatever it is, 23 or 29 frames a second or whatever, first you have to decide where you're going to cut amongst those frames,
right,
and all those possibilities, and then what frame you're going to put right after that, from another piece of footage, and that's a whole another set of frames you have to decide where you're going to land on. So it's just I'm surprised there isn't more crazy editors out there burning out.
Well, I think they are. You just don't hear about them because they flame out. How long have you been editing full time for now?
Let's see. Going back to Full Sail, I was actually on the cinematographer path. That was camera actually was my primary interest. Mm-hmm. And then after school, landed in New York City with my wife, and I tell people I put the free and freelance when I was working there. So at that time, it was still like half cinematography, half editing. And I quickly realized there's more editing work out there. Yeah. It just seems like people like the fun part of shooting and being part of production. And it is cool.
But when you were freelancing, did you find like the money was better on the camera production side of things? Because that was definitely my experience while freelancing.
Yeah, that's nice. I found no money. Not $1. I didn't make a single dollar while I was in New York City freelancing. It was all
It was all Apple Store money.
Yeah.
You drank the Apple Kool-Aid.
Did you get to use that location sometimes? You don't have to tell me now. Keep it on the low.
Use the location for what? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You're talking about working at part-time,
well,
right?
because he was working part-time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so creepy.
What is? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The Apple Store. I went for an interview there. They're
oh,
interesting.
Oh yeah,
interviewed at the Apple Store.
Yeah, in university. Oh. And I don't know if it was the same for you, Sean, but like, first of all, you couldn't have the interview on property. We were in the back alley in the Eaton Center.
Yeah.
Like with little makeshift chairs, and he was asking the questions
because they couldn't do it in the back room for security.
Yeah, I guess.
And they couldn't do it in the store.
No.
So they do it in a back alley.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Are you sure it was a real thing or was it a scam?
They were wearing Apple badges, and then
set up a metal table, get some Apple badges.
No, and then they'll be like, "So explain to me what memory is," like, and you have to be like, people getting all complicated. And they're like, no, memory allows you to do more things.
Okay, that was it. That's what they wanted from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna dump everything down.
They just want it all simple.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, tell me.
They gave me a job offer, but then I fell down the stairs and
Computer,
I hurt my
go
foot.
fast.
Sorry, you fell down the stairs.
I fell down the stairs and I couldn't walk, and I'm like, I have to decline the job offer.
I didn't even know you fell down the flight of stairs.
Yeah, I did. And I had to go to the walking clinic with bleeding all over the
Oh,
place.
man.
And they had to stitch up my foot.
At the Apple?
Jesus.
At the
No,
Apple?
no, the day after I interviewed.
Okay.
Anyway, what do you think about Apple?
This is like a paradox here.
So, Sean, is it uncanny that you and Kyle both fell down the stairs the day after your Apple interview?
No, but the hiring process it's intense.
See?
It was a group interview, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know
the first-
intense until you've been interviewed for Phanta Media, let me tell you.
Wait.
Actually,
So like,
wait. I
like-
did listen to that podcast that you did on where you kind of revealed your process. So
On hiring
okay.
people?
yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, but it didn't get into how direct and mean I am.
Well, the best is when they start going on the defensive and they're just like, wow.
my interview
No.
was fine.
I
Louis?
think this.
Yeah.
Your interview went so good I didn't hire you the first time.
Yeah, it went so well I didn't get the job.
Yeah. I went with someone else and then came begging back, came crawling back to you.
Oh,
So, I kept calling you, are you still free? Are you still free? So what I want to know is advice you'd give. So, it's so funny that because you don't seem like a crazy A-type personality. You don't seem like someone who's doing this to get in the spotlight or say, hey, look at me over here. It sounds like it's outside of your comfort zone and it's not even part of your job and you're doing it in your free time and everything else. So you're like, you go through all the boxes of the type of person I think would start doing this, and it doesn't seem like, it seems like you're doing it for all the right reasons, but you don't seem typical of the person doing this. So what would you say to other people like you who have a passion and obviously you started, obviously you're running it, obviously you're starting to see success. What would you tell to all of us who don't have the courage to take the leap?
Well, first, thanks. That's very nice words. This is going to be totally cliche, but the Nike slogan, you just got to do it. Take one step at a time, and just kind of anticipate. The first, I'll say first year or so is going to be pretty awkward. You'll probably look back with a lot of embarrassment. Just keep powering through. And one thing I've learned doing this is if you keep investing in something and really kind of pouring yourself into a job or a hobby or whatever, looking back, it may not be how you saw it when you first started, but if you have momentum, more often than not, it's kind of me holding myself back. Oh, geez, that sounds like a weirdly motivational speaker there for a moment.
yeah. Are you writing a book?
But a motivational speaker would follow it up with, but I, for only $69.95, can share with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Secrets to unlocking your true
For
potential.
3 easy payments,
Yes.
I can show you the path to success.
Or you can go the preacher route, right? And you can go a little bit like, give some money.
It'd be like-
give me a preacher. Give me.
Well, I'm
do it?
Christian, so I don't want to offend people. But there is the whole prosperity gospel,
Right.
Right. Every dollar you give to the kingdom will come back to you tenfold.
It'd be like the Bro's Guide to Reaching Your Dreams.
Pretty good.
It should be an ebook, and you should write it.
That should totally happen.
Bro's Guide to
Seriously, that's what you got. You got to capitalize on this shit and start making
on the bra,
more money.
The bra it should be Premier Bra.
Do you monetize
Well-
your videos, or do you just do it all for free?
But hold on, we just jumped on the great joke of Premier Bra,
Brah,
bra,
brah.
Yeah.
right? And then
I wonder
you'll
if
pick
that
up
Twitter handle is available.
Premier Bra, but you
You
would
should
also
grab
pick
it.
up all kinds of like French lingerie searchers, right? Just great SEO tactics.
Premier Bra.
It's pretty good. Optimize.
Optimize Premier Bra.
Like it.
I don't want it to be misunderstood that it's kind of like you put your quarter in and you get your prize type of thing. I try to qualify it a little bit. Like it may not look like what you thought it would be when you first started, but if you don't give up, it's going to happen. Something is going to happen.
Right.
You know what? I can't recall the person who said it, but I know it was one of the guys on the Nerdist podcast. I remember hearing him say it years ago, and it stuck with me for my career, for all of our careers. And he was relating it to comedy, I think, because they're comedians, or maybe he's relating stand-up comedy or something. But he said, your path, your career is a giant line. you're in line. And as long as you don't step out of line, as long as you don't quit, as long as you don't take a break, as long as you don't step out of line, eventually you'll get to the front of the line, and eventually your turn will come. And it may take 3 years, it might take 10 years, it might take 30 years. Yeah. But if you step out of line, when you step back in, you're at the back of the line again.
That's right.
And I was like, there's something to just keeping with
fantastic.
It. And eventually, you keep with it, and eventually you'll hit. Hitting may not be as big as you thought it would be. It may not give you everything you thought it would give you.
Right.
But you stay in line, and eventually you'll get to the front of the line.
One other thing I'll say, this is a tip here, is if you find yourself passionate about a product and a manufacturer, I mean, it's kind of like cheating, honestly. I'll be transparent about that. If totally you show an interest, a genuine interest in a product or a manufacturer, eventually that manufacturer is going to notice you because they can't afford not to,
Yeah. And they have to be able to deliver. Like I talked about it a while ago, but I like watching moto vloggers, right? People on motorcycles who vlog. It's a big thing on YouTube. And there's this one guy out of Calgary that I love, and he was super, super excited to get a Ducati motorcycle. His best friend worked at a Ducati, and he was so excited. And for the year and a half he had the bike was constantly in the shop breaking. Oh. And in the time that he had the Ducati, he went from 70,000 subscribers to 450,000 subscribers or something. And finally he's in California. Jesus. The bike keeps going into the shop. They can't fix it. And he just starts blasting every single episode, getting hundreds of thousands of views of him blasting Ducati for not buying the bike off of him because it will not run. Finally, because the Ducati's getting really upset about it. So finally they go, okay, great, we'll settle with you. Stop talking about it. So then he has to start saying, the Italian manufacturer. He's just like, the Italian manufacturer, because he's not allowed to say the brand name anymore because he just wanted to settle. Yeah. And he goes over to KTM. Big win for KTM, right? But he also said Yamaha wanted him on a bike. People want him on a bike. Yeah. But now, he's got a relationship with KTM. Their product better deliver. Right? These influencers, you are an influencer. That's no matter, what your audience size, if it's 100 people, it's still 100 people, right? If it's 1,000, if it's 100,000.
That's 100 people that won't buy your product.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's like what you're doing, Sean, here is, and it makes total sense. If you love something, there are a few products I love. I love Coca-Cola. I don't really drink Coke.
As a brand?
I love the brand. Right. I love the history. Right. I love the commercials. I love the product. Right. I do not drink anything really other than Coke. I don't want, is Pepsi okay? No, Pepsi's not okay. Right. I want Coke. So
if you're in a restaurant, for example, and they don't carry Coke,
if they have Pepsi,
you will not order a Pepsi?
I won't order a cola. Mm. No, I'll be I'll get a Sprite or a 7-Up or Ginger Ale.
That's really interesting how loyal you are to that brand, man.
I mean, if I have to, I'll have a diabetes. But I don't know. I want Coke. So I should start a Coke vlog.
I'm sure that already exists.
I should start a vlog on happiness.
Get in line,
call it
Coke Bros.
Coke Bros.
Happiness Bro. Presented by Coca-Cola.
Coke Bro, man.
Coke Bros.
Yeah, you can just get Coke Bro down in the bad part of town. But no, but there are a few brands I like as much as, you, dude, hats off to you. You love Adobe a lot.
What's not to love? My greatest fear is I'm getting annoyed or getting creepy, which it hasn't yet. So that's good.
Well, if you have good intentions and if you don't have an ego and they don't own you.
Nope.
Right? There's this healthy tension. Yeah. There's this healthy tension between you
Keep
and them.
In check.
Exactly.
Are you in the developer program at all? Like beta testing new versions and stuff?
This is where I really kind of meet the boundaries of the limited time that I have on this.
Oh yeah.
I do have access to that.
You got no time.
It's just I really don't have the time to really jump into that part of it that deeply.
It makes sense.
Part of me almost kind of doesn't want to that much.
Yeah.
I'm talking about kind of peeping at the beta in general, because I enjoy the surprise and kind of seeing the tools for the first time alongside everyone else. So
that makes sense.
I try not to spoil it too much for myself.
Cool. Hey, listen, I know that your favorite filmmaker is Quentin Tarantino. I just wanted to know who your favorite editor is.
Oh, inside baseball.
Hold on, can you actually name like other than I can't
Yes.
I can't name any editors.
Whoa, dude.
Yes,
what are you
merch.
talking about?
Blink of an eye. That's it. I had to
Thelma
read that.
Schumacher.
Who's that?
Scorsese's.
Oh yeah, she won.
editor.
She won a great
She's
Oscar for The
fantastic.
Aviator. And I remember her speech. I remember her Oscar speech where she said that when you work with Scorsese, who directs like an editor, it makes your job easy.
The editing in Departed is phenomenal.
Haven't seen
Phenomenal.
Departed. Anyway, sorry, you asked Sean a question there.
Well, what makes you think Tarantino's my favorite
Because
director?
he thought he was stalking you.
I've watched your blogs and I know that you have an affinity towards him. My theory actually is that he genre jumps a lot as a filmmaker, and I think that aspect speaks to you because I know that I like to deal with different genres as an editor, and I think innately as editors we like that. We like a little bit of variety, so that's my take on it. But yeah.
Interesting, because you almost changed my mind there for a second. But I tell people my favorite director is Wes Anderson.
Oh wow.
Which is almost like exactly opposite. I mean, talk about like a very rigid genre. I have a soft spot for Quentin Tarantino for sure.
Cool.
But as far as editor,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the part where it's Sean talking or Premier Bro talking, because
Is there even a difference?
I have to identify.
I say
Multiple personalities.
What would Bro say and what would Sean say?
I would, I'd probably go with Walter Murch for both. I mean, it was. I remember the day when I saw like, the Adobe on one of their social channels posted like, Walter Murch comes out and talks about switching to Premiere. It was just like, it was so cool. One of your idol editors is editing in your software. So, I mean, that was pretty cool.
He's embracing the future.
That man comes from a different time, though, man. The idea of pulling the frame that represents the emotion of the scene.
Oh, yeah.
And
That dude edits he edits standing up.
because he's used to the old splicing days and stuff.
Yeah.
But the idea of just thinking about editing that way is crazy.
It keeps you engaged, though. I could see why he does that.
You can touch
I actually ended up doing that when I used to cut.
Yeah.
Right, I would scrub every single shot,
Yeah.
and I would scrub as I scrubbed through all the footage. I would leave my cursor or whatever on the frame that I felt represented the shot, and then that way later, as you just were able to move up or down through the shots, your preview frame.
Yeah.
I don't know if Adobe does this. Final Cut used to, but wherever you left your cursor, that's where it would stay in the shot, and then you could pick.
No, you have to double click it and it goes in your source monitor, I think. But yeah.
Okay, well, you used to be able to just click on it
That's
and then
good,
go
though.
down and
Yeah.
scrub down. And as you scrub down, you would flash through each
Right.
frame that represented the shot
Right.
because I had already done that. I kind of stole that from. I'm an amazing editor like him, but I scrubbed it. I
we
stole that from
basically
him.
make.
It's true.
We basically-
Mark
Pop up
edits
now every
everything
day.
here.
We basically
Yeah.
do what he does
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah,
I emotionally edit everything we do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we use wizardry.
Oh, don't mention wizardry.
Sorry, you'll find out about that soon.
Yeah, we're creating an app called Wizardry. It's going to be awesome. Look for it in the Apple iTunes store.
Yep.
Nice. One last thing on Walter Murch. At least what I was told, from what I understand, is when he was starting to use Premiere, one of the things that he, called up the Premiere Pro development team and said, hey, it would be really good to have this. Have you guys ever entered trim mode? And when you hit T, when you're parked between two clips, you enter trim mode. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and then you
Yeah,
can pull out. You can move the cut between the two.
So there's those little frame offset indicator numbers. They're
Yes.
little white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Evidently, that was his suggestion. He said he needed those, and the team, the Premiere team, made it happen.
I
And
think we should call them.
here
I think we should call them
have
up.
them.
There's lots of stuff we
We
asked
got like
for.
a laundry list of stuff. We gotta.
Yeah.
Well, you guys submit feature requests, don't you? And I'm wagging my finger at the phone.
Adobe.com/wish.
Yeah, when we had Eric on, we asked him about that, and he's like, "We do check it. It's real things."
Yeah.
It is. It's so cool. It's one of those things. Like I probably
Wish.
would be
Adobe.com/wish equals don't crash. Don't freeze.
Hey, you know
don't
what though?
crash.
They are constantly like if you want to talk about like
They're fixing bugs, right?
Look, we could talk about feature bloat. I'm not going to, but I think that like in the latest version, they added optical flow, which basically negates me using Twixtor to the degree that I used to use it, which is fantastic. Like I don't have to buy this like $1,000 plugin anymore. We don't have to buy a $1,000 plugin anymore, right? So
But more cuts still shit though.
yeah.
So here's the thing for me, right? You go back 5 years, the software did what it needed to do, right? Everything
that
to make
better.
it faster,
Yeah.
to make your workflow faster is great. Everything else to me is just a bell and whistle. And it used to be, it's because it comes from a culture where they used to have to resell, right? Like we
True,
would buy a
true.
license and then we would have to have a reason to buy the new license.
Yeah.
We're on the cloud or whatever. We pay every month.
Yeah.
We don't have to resell. You don't have to sell
No.
me on anything. So just
Yeah.
don't worry about increasing more and more and more and more features.
Yeah.
Just make it work faster and faster.
But
and
some of
lighter
those
and lighter.
features, Mark, some of those bells and whistles are saving us money right now, for sure.
Are they?
Oh yeah, for sure.
How?
I think they still do that push because they want new users, and they need something.
What other choices do you have as an editor? You gonna go to Sony
10.
Vegas?
10.
Vegas is that what it's called?
I-
Vegas?
Black Magic is creeping up too. I don't know. Have you noticed this, Sean? Like
Yeah.
Black Magic? Don't they just make cameras
Resolve
and
is
cards?
an editing tool
Oh,
now.
man.
They make an editing suite?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
It's color correction and editing.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you like? I could be dumb, and I'm probably pretty simple-minded. Why would you use anything?
out.
Why would you use anything other than paying the monthly fee and using Adobe? Like we have a ton of licenses. We pay a lot of money. We have Adobe stock. We pay a lot of money. We're a customer. We do not get a discount really. We pay a lot
Right.
of money
Yeah,
to
yeah,
them. Why would you use anything other than just simply use Adobe? It has every single product you need to
there's-
run your business.
I think in terms of product, there is a workflow and a product that matches certain projects.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Blackmagic, first of all, the software comes free if you do buy one of their cameras. That's number one. Number two, it's balanced in a way for that camera. It's basically made in with that camera in mind, and that camera is a cinema camera. It's focused on narrative projects.
Yeah, so a
right?
slower workflow than we work.
Right, exactly. But the kind of the bells and whistles for that product match the project type that you're going to go with, I think.
I guess you know what? Like I don't edit all day every day. If I did, maybe I'd have more frustrations.
Right.
I don't really edit at all anymore, which is weird because I went to school to become an editor. But just as a business owner and as like a agency head, it's just like I don't know. I wouldn't use anything else.
But on
The
a-
U.S. prices still pisses
the
me
U.S.
off.
Yeah,
price
that really
pisses
is.
the
That's-
crap out of me.
yeah.
You have no
Yeah.
idea, Sean. We're in Canada.
We're paying
so,
through the roof.
So when our dollar drops by 30%, it means we have to pay 30% more for everything. And I got to say,
There's no reason for it either.
You got to start championing our cause here, man. You got to tell them to give local pricing. Give
Yeah.
local pricing.
That's interesting. It's not the first time that I've heard this. I'll give a shout out to another
it was a huge
podcast.
thing in
You know the
Australia, I know
Command
that.
Edit podcast? Have you heard of this?
No.
Which one?
Command edit.
Come on.
Command Edit
Oh, no.
podcast.
Okay.
Check that out.
So one of the guys is Nick Montgomery, and he's in. I don't want to get this wrong. He's in Canada. I remember talking with him about these prices. Yeah, I can't imagine. How
What's the
frustrating
monthly?
that is.
69.
Yeah, 69.
Okay, so 69 American. I'm going to do it right now. Now our dollar's up. Our dollar is up, so that is only $90 a seat. $90 a seat.
Eric, do something about that.
Canadian in Australia, it was a huge deal when they launched. I think the original, like 3 or 4 years ago, it became a big deal because it was
Didn't
only.
they push back though?
It was like I don't know. We need to rise up.
Yeah. Canadians are
We
too
need our-
bad.
Yeah,
but they
cost of
won't-
living there is
Hey,
very
you gotta
weird.
lower the
No, no.
prices, eh?
But listen, Sean, seriously, they will not listen to a few Canadians until we get Americans on our side.
Yeah.
Until we have our friends from the
This has
south.
to be a coalition.
right? We need to have a. This is
A revolt, I think.
We need Sarah Palin.
we need Sarah Palin and Donald Trump leading
Yeah.
the charge. Hey man, what do you think of that?
Alaska.
Oh man, let's not get.
No, I got to ask the guys in New Jersey. So it's a pretty like you're
Is
not
Trump
in,
from New Jersey?
no, but he's in like rural New Jersey. I'm wondering what the people. Let's get a temperature check.
Yeah.
What are the people in your local communities? Not maybe yourself. You don't have to say yourself, but what do your people in your local communities think? Are they overly Bernie, Hillary / whatever Democratic type people, or are they a big fan of whatever the heck you want to call Donald Trump?
The Trump train.
Yeah.
Train.
I mean, New Jersey's a pretty blue state, so
And that would be the Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The
yeah.
red state's the other one, right?
Blue is exactly.
Okay, see, for us in Canada, red is liberal and blue is conservative, the opposite colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I didn't know
Trump
that.
is orange.
Yeah, so you'll always see if someone's wearing a blue tie, that means they're conservative, and if they're wearing a
Right.
red tie, it means that they're red, kind of like the communists.
There you go.
So
there you go.
liberal, right? Kind of like the communists.
Actually, I kind of did have a serious question
Oh,
for
okay,
you,
sorry.
if I may. I'm just curious, your point of view. Every project is an opportunity to kind of like, I don't know, raise the bar, step it up. Is that kind of your approach too? Like, do you feel that way? And how do you mitigate that against like timelines and delivery? And if you do it enough times, you're just like, I don't want to do this the same way again. How do I make this different? Especially when you're doing corporate video and you may be getting projects that are very similar in nature. How do you mitigate against that?
I'm working on a project now that the workflow is unlike anything I've done previously. And it's just like, I've always had this capability. What made me decide to do it this way instead? And I don't know, it's one of those things where it's the project is not just the story that you're editing, but almost like the project itself, the data, the media, it's its own living thing. And
Right.
you just have to, every project is different. You have to accommodate it somehow. And there's that personal goal to always kind of be bettering yourself at your craft. And up until recently, I was kind of spared by my supervisor, producer of kind of worrying too much about hours and numbers and rates and all that.
Right.
And it's only because I've kind of been expressing interest in it myself that, the whole business side of editing is, the older I get, the more interesting it becomes. I don't think I could ever be a producer, but it's a fun challenge to set for yourself to how good can I make this? What level of quality am I going to invest, for the money that I know
Right.
this client is giving or the time this client is allowing, and just seeing that as a challenge
Right.
in and of itself. So it's not like you're doing poor work.
No.
You're
But you,
meeting the standard or whatever.
right, but you definitely see it as something like your job really isn't never done, but it's time to wrap it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could just keep going on and adding and putting layers on top of layers, but you got to call it, right, eventually.
Yeah. I mean, especially talking about color correction, right? Or
Right.
audio mixing. I mean, those things can be like a never ending
Yeah.
hole of darkness. I try, as best you can, set kind of the look or the sound, or probably even more importantly, just the vibe, the emotion that you're going for. And when you've reached that, I mean, then, you just have to be content. Hey, I got to get one other thing in here real quick.
Yeah.
And it goes back to something you said about, you're paying every month. I'm not interested in the new toys every, like half a year or whatever it is. And one of the things that I love about Adobe is how they've been able to, well, first, technology in general is moving at like an uncatchable rate. We all know that. So regardless of how editors think NLEs have to be, technology companies have to keep up with technology. That's just, they always have, they always will. But Adobe has somehow, in my opinion, been able to keep up with technology and not alienate new users or their professional users. And when you think of like Adobe's competitors, I mean, they tend to be very polarizing, right? When you think of Avid, generally you think of, like Hollywood editors, stuff that's not very entry level friendly. And then when you think of Final Cut Pro 10, you think, iMovie Pro. And I know that's offensive to say, and I think
of my
good
family
way.
members doing home videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a professional NLE for sure, but it tends to have a more like, if you want to jump into an NLE, start with Final Cut.
Yeah.
But somehow
No,
Adobe
sorry, you
is able
didn't just
to
say that, did you?
What's that?
If you want to learn an NLE, you start with Premiere now, because Premiere is where Final Cut was when we all learned how to edit.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Thanks.
Well,
for
I learned on an Avid.
You learned on
think,
what?
I think a
Avid?
better way to say
I learned
what
on a
Apple
tape to
did is
tape.
they totally sold out on just the average customer and kind of broke ties with their professional users, as you guys know. But yeah, I'm just really amazed with how Adobe is able to come up with all these new things that is really relevant with current technology trends and not forget about new users or not forget about professional users.
Absolutely. Yeah, the user base is always intact, and they do support it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And I could probably go on and on here, but just the fact that customers have conversations with the Adobe team, whether it be on Twitter, or on the forums, or on Facebook, or whatever. Yeah, I don't see that level of communication or engagement or definitely transparency with their customers as Adobe has with theirs.
Anyway, thanks so much, Sean, for joining us this hour. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I mean, big fan of what you guys are doing. Again, keep up the good work.
You too, man.
It's really impressive how you guys own your space. It's really cool. I know I try and get some of my coworkers to look at what you're doing just because we do a lot of the same things.
Yeah? Cool. Share the love, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
man.
appreciate that.
Your blog is a great resource, when you're
Is
talking
it?
about tips for corporate video. Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that, man, a lot because we do try. I don't feel like. I mean, I don't feel like we own our space yet. I feel like we're this.
I don't think we should. I think we
feel like we shouldn't feel like we own it, or we shouldn't own
Absolutely. I think we shouldn't feel that we. I think we need to have that hunger in the belly, man, all the time.
Yeah, I got you.
it. Yeah, we just do it because we love it so much, and we want to evangelize just honest, good work, and that's why I feel an affinity for what you're doing. I really dig it, and I'm not in Premiere day to day. If I was, I probably would be all over your stuff even more. But anytime we've done anything Premiere related, you've shared it, and I really appreciate that, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for contributing to the user community.
Well, Kyle and Leah do it.
Absolutely.
And Louie, it's nothing to do with me. So
Well, I haven't done anything yet.
you haven't done anything Premiere related yet?
Well, I mean, community-wise, no, I haven't really engaged. But
Okay.
I mean, we do have this thing that
the
we're
new
working on
pre-roll
now.
challenge.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
look out for that. That will be edited on Premiere.
that's right.
Is that enough? Is that enough for you? Just edited on Premiere, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, basically.
Awesome. Listen, man. Thank you. Have a great night, and we'll talk around the internet.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night, man.
All right, talk to you later.
So that was our conversation with Sean Schools, also known as Premiere Bro. If you'd like to find more about him, you can reach him on Twitter at Premiere Bro. Pretty much exactly the same as Premiere Pro, just not with a P, with a B.
Yeah.
Facebook, Premiere Bro. YouTube, also Premiere Bro. Or you can reach him on his blog, www.premierebro.com.
There you go.
That
That's
dude
it.
is owning that username and URL.
Own it.
Like, I didn't have to see any Premiere Bro 88 or any of that stuff.
No, man.
Eh? Fantastic. So I hope you had fun joining us on this week's podcast. This was the first of many that didn't have the watchful guidance and oversight of Mrs. Leah Earl. So maybe it's a little bit different. The coming months, coming weeks, we got some great things in store. Next week on the podcast, we have a roundtable where we talk about pitching. A week following that is a great conversation with Mr. Michael Harris, who's going to talk about inside sales. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. If you have a topic, a suggestion, a question for us, if you'd like to know more about us, reach out to us directly, feedback@notsocorporatepodcast.com. The email comes directly to me. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Let's set up a conversation. Let's talk. Let's talk about our feelings.
Let's just chat.
Let's just do it.
Cool.
Let's do it. Tell us.
I like it.
Reach out to us.
Come on, guys.
If you reach out to us on Twitter, it comes to me. If you reach out to Facebook, it also comes to me.
There's no publicist involved that
No.
takes care of this stuff.
Not now that Leah's gone.
That may have an alias of John Miller, perhaps, but he.
John Miller. That's a weird reference. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, thanks so much, Louie, for joining me.
Hey, always a pleasure.
On
Mark.
behalf of Kyle and the entire Phanta Media production team, that was different. Have a good night. Boopity boop boop.
Oh yeah.
We need an ending, buddy.
Blibbity boop.
Believity boop.